Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Mt. Gox and its previous hack and how that might affect the market in the next coming weeks. Now, if you like this kind of content, you should definitely like, subscribe, and comment, and watch this video to the end so you can get the full gist of what I'm about to tell you. But I need you to remember something. This isn't financial advice. Nothing here should be misconstrued as such, and everything is just strictly for research and news purposes. So with that in mind, you should be able to enjoy the topic of this video. So, like I said, Mt. Gox, that was an exchange. It got hacked a little while ago. Somewhere in the ballpark of about 800,000 Bitcoin were hacked from the exchange. And that was basically, taken. And that was one of the biggest hacks. I think it was the biggest hack ever. And definitely one of the most noteworthy because of how it affected crypto. Of those 800,000 Bitcoin, I think roughly about 150,000 Bitcoins were recovered, but otherwise the rest are gone. This might be the reason why we're seeing the market dump. Now, we've seen Bitcoin go from all-time high 67, dropping to 56 as of this time of recording, like as of right now, right? Now, it's definitely interesting because people are thinking, oh, it's just this, or it's like a little bit of a correction, but like they're not understanding like maybe we've already been priced into Mt. Gox's current legal obligations. And I'm about to break into that now, right? So Bitcoin, we saw drop. It's still sitting at about $1 trillion market cap, roughly. It's still very much alive. Don't panic. It's not the end of the world. You could even see here that, okay, granted, we see a pretty big steep drop here, but that's still very small, especially in comparison to when we saw this. And the thing is that if we do see the price drop again, then we'd be falling right into double bottom territory, which would mean that roughly around, it would be if we do see a double bottom and the price drops heavily due to this payout, then what we're going to see is a double bottom. We'd probably settle somewhere between the 30 and 40K range before we would come out from that double bottom in around probably January, February, max March. But I personally don't think this is the scenario. I think most of this FUD is mostly just for the time being. And before I go further into this, I'd rather just like take you through this article right now. So look. Bitcoin investors shake with fear as Mt. Gox prepares to dump 141,000 Bitcoin. Why are they doing that? Well, here's what it is. After that massive hack that happened in 2013, that caused a lot of Bitcoin to disappear. And it was only worth about 300 million at that time. But here's the thing. The price of Bitcoin has gone parabolic since then, meaning that whatever they were able to recover now has enough value to basically be sold to pay off all the legal fees, all the rightful owners who had the Bitcoin, all the exchange laws, the consumer protection. Like there's a lot of moving parts to having a big exchange like that. And the thing is after a massive hack, like things have to get paid. And they've been settling this in court for the last like 7 or 8 years. And now we're actually hitting the destination where it's going to be settled. And we need to factor in like, okay, we could see 141,000 Bitcoins getting dumped here, right? And that will affect the market. In fact, that might even be why we saw a 10K drop within the last few weeks. It might have already happened. We might already be priced in. But if we're not priced in, I want you to factor in one more thing. That Bitcoin will be sold. Someone will buy it because it has to be dumped. And in order for it to be dumped, it has to be dumped to people who are buying it, right? So just like any other dip, someone's buying it. And I'd like to say one thing as well. Don't be surprised if you see those 140,000 Bitcoins being given to the government or sold to the government in exchange to cover the cost of this. I would not be shocked because the government of America is already one of the largest holders of Bitcoin. I would not be shocked if they pay out Mt. Gox's basically their fees, whatever they have to pay, the retribution cost or whatever you want to call it. And I wouldn't be surprised if the government swallows that Bitcoin. So as you can see here, like they plan to return 8.5 billion in Bitcoin. And as you can see, they got final approval from the trustees now, and the recovery plan is now final and binding, and the creditors will be compensated following the confirmation from the Japanese court. Meaning that this happened in 2014 and it's being settled now. And it was filed in 2018, this petition to have that whole thing basically paid out, and now we're really close to the I guess the destination, the final point where, okay, everyone's going to get paid out now, and this is going to affect the market in the short term, maybe even in the medium term, because we don't know how this could shake everybody. Could really shake crypto to the bone. But at the end of the day, I want you guys to remember one thing. 141,000 Bitcoin, as big as it is, China also took that massive dump on us a few months ago. And that was probably more Bitcoin than this. And we survived that. So if you see a big dump after this video, remember what I told you. This isn't financial advice, but this is likely to be a dip that will all survive, just like most other dips. And what it comes down to is this, man. Only the lions get their fair share. So the people who are sheep, who get scared by these kinds of things, they'll be out. But the lions will buy the dip and ride it back up and pay themselves out in the future. That's usually how it goes with these things. And obviously, I'm not going to sit there and say that's a guarantee, but it's a likely possibility. Now, that's definitely one thing that will affect the price of Bitcoin if it hasn't been priced in already. Plus, the other thing that has to be factored in is this. The Bitcoin spot ETF was declined. It was rejected by the SEC. So the SEC is like, we don't want a spot Bitcoin thing. We'll back a Bitcoin future. We'll back a Bitcoin ETF with futures. So we'll back it with gambling, but we won't back it with actual Bitcoin, which is beautiful. Because that's how you know the SEC is full of shit. Everything they do is full of shit. And to be honest, like, no one there is really qualified. Well, I'm not going to say they're not qualified, because I've said it in previous videos that they might be evil geniuses, but, like, they're idiots. They're assholes. There are a lot of different names. And you could tell that the Treasury Secretary and all these people are in the same boat, you know, moving the market as they wish. Now, like I said, I'm going to just basically say what I got to say here. ETF got declined. Mt. Gox has to pay out rightfully to the board of trustees, and basically making sure that all their creditors get compensated. But here is some silver lining that no one is really talking about because of how big the Mt. Gox news is. Congressman introduced bill to strike down the harmful language from the infrastructure bill completely. Meaning that people who saw the infrastructure bill that Biden put out, where he's like, oh, we're going to do all this infrastructure stuff, don't worry about it. And then they just kind of push these little laws for crypto to try and fuck everybody. Congressmen they're shutting that down. They're like, no, you got to be clear. You got to be clear with your language, and you can't destroy the industry for your financial gain. So you could keep the money printer going forever. That ain't happening. They're trying to, from what I could tell, that's not going to happen. And that's good. That's a good step in the right direction. The fact that you have people lobbying for Bitcoin to make sure that the industry doesn't get smothered in the cradle by a dying industry. So that's definitely a very important moment that we have to take into consideration, simply because while all this stuff is happening and we're all freaking out about what's going to happen to Mt. Gox and how the ETF got shut down, this is the silver lining. People are stepping up to protect Bitcoin from horrible laws with vague and ambiguous language that doesn't make any sense. People have stepped up, meaning that if they step up properly, we might see proper regulation of crypto, and we could actually see everything flourish. Very important. Definitely something to be bullish about. Don't panic over this Bitcoin thing. Or panic if you want, but I'm not. So that's more or less all I had to say about that. I wanted to wrap it up by telling you this, so that way you guys could not feel panicked about this market drop. And if the market continues to drop, just know it's because of these reasons. But like I said, silver lining is what we're looking forward to. So if you watch this video to the end, thank you so much. We're almost at 1.5K subs. We'll see you guys at 2 and many, many, many more. Take care.